Let me ask you something most people get wrong. If grocery prices doubled again, if supply trucks stopped showing up, if a long emergency hit tomorrow, how many years, not days, would your pantry actually last? Because here's the truth no one likes to hear. Most pantries look full but expire fast. Boxes that go bad in a year, foods that depend on power. Items that won't help you when stores are empty and restocking isn't coming. That's not preparedness. That's wishful thinking. Real food security comes from pantry foods that last 5 years, or more, foods that sit quietly on the shelf, waiting, without costing you money every year. And no, you don't need freeze-dried survival kits or expensive buckets. Today, I'm going to show you only 6 pantry foods that last 5 years, are affordable for normal families, store easily in real homes, and actually work when things don't go as planned. Get these 6 right, and your pantry stops being fragile and starts being reliable. Let's get into it. Item number 1. Canned vegetables. When people think about long-term food storage, vegetables are usually an afterthought. That's a mistake. Canned vegetables, specifically low-acid vegetables, are one of the most reliable, affordable ways to keep real nutrition in your pantry for 5 years or longer. Why canned vegetables matter? In any long emergency, calories keep you alive, but micronutrients keep you functional. Canned vegetables provide vitamins and minerals, fiber for digestion, familiar taste and texture. Ready-to-eat food that requires no cooking when stress is high and meals get repetitive. This matters more than people realize. Shelf life. This is important. Not all canned foods are equal. Low-side vegetables typically last 5 to 8 years, often longer if stored correctly. Best long-term options: corn, peas, green beans, carrots, mixed vegetables. Avoid high-side items like tomatoes for long-term storage. They usually last 18 to 24 months, not 5 years. Cost reality. Canned vegetables are one of the cheapest prepper wins, often $0.8 to $1.50 per can. No special storage equipment required. No rotation stress every year. That's nutrition. You can lock in knobby for prices rise again. Storage rules. Canned food storage is simple, but don't get lazy. Cool. Dry place. Avoid heat and direct sunlight. Never store damaged, bulging, or rusted cans. Pro tip most people don't know: rotate by condition, not date. A can stored properly often lasts years past its printed date. How much should you store? For a family of 4, minimum buffer: 24 to 36 cans. Stronger pantry: 50 cans. That gives you flexibility, nutrition, and variety without breaking your budget. Why this is item number 1. Canned vegetables. Last year's require zero power. Add nutrition and morale. Work for every family member. They're not exciting, but they're dependable. And dependable food is what actually carries families through long disruptions. Item number 2. Wheat flour. Flour is one of the most misunderstood long-term pantry foods. Many people assume it doesn't last, so they avoid it entirely. Others store it incorrectly and end up with bugs, moisture damage, or spoiled food. But properly stored wheat flour can last 5 years, and it's one of the cheapest ways to lock in calories before prices rise again. Why wheat flour matters. Flour turns basic storage food into real meals. With flour, you can make flatbreads, simple pan bread, dumplings, thickened soups. Emergency calories from just water and heat. That flexibility matters when food variety is limited and morale drops. White flour versus whole wheat. Critical difference. This is where most people go wrong. White flour. Shelf life: 5 to 10 years when stored correctly. Lower oil content, best for long-term storage. Whole wheat flour. Shelf life: 6 to 12 months. Oils go rancid quickly for long-term pantry use. White flour wins every time. Shelf life and storage rules. Flour fails for 3 reasons. Oxygen, moisture, pests. To avoid that, store in Mylar bags. Add oxygen absorbers. Seal inside food-grade buckets. Keep in a cool, dark place. Done correctly, flour becomes a stable, multi-year calorie source. Cost and quantity: flour is still one of the best calorie per dollar foods available. Costs often 40 cents, 70 cents per pound in bulk.
Calories:
approximately 1,600 per pound for a family of 4. Minimum buffer: 25 pounds. Strong pantry: 50 to 75 pounds. That's months of meal potential for very little money. Cooking reality: flour does require heat, but very little. Flatbread cooked in a pan uses less fuel than boiling rice or beans, making flour surprisingly efficient during outages. Why this item earns its spot. Flour isn't glamorous, but it's adaptable, affordable, and familiar. And in long disruptions, familiarity matters. Stored correctly, wheat flour quietly turns a fragile pantry into a resilient one. Item number 3. Salt. Salt is one of the few foods on earth with no expiration date. If it's kept dry, salt will outlast you, your pantry, and almost every other food on this list. Yet most people store only a small shaker and call it enough. It isn't. Why salt matters in long-term storage. Salt isn't just about flavor. It's essential for fluid balance and hydration, nerve and muscle function, preventing weakness and fatigue, food preservation in long disruptions, especially when you're sweating under stress or wearing heavy clothing. Salt becomes medically important, not optional. Iodized versus non-iodized. You need both. This is where smart preppers separate from beginners. Iodized salt prevents iodine deficiency, supports thyroid health, best for daily cooking. Non-iodized salt. Indefinite shelf life required for food preservation, curing, pickling, drying, more stable for storage. The solution is simple. Store both. Shelf life unlimited with one rule: salt never goes bad, but it absorbs moisture. Storage rules. Keep it bone dry, use airtight containers, avoid paper packaging. Long term, if salt clumps, it's still usable. Just dry and break it up. Cost and quantity. Salt is one of the cheapest preparedness items you'll ever buy. Cost: often 30 cents, 50 cents per pound. Space required: minimal for a family of 4. Iodized salt: 510 lbs. Non-iodized salt: 10 to 20 pounds. That's years of security for the price of a few snacks. Why salt is non-negotiable? You can survive without sugar. You can survive without spices. You cannot function without salt. It's not exciting. It doesn't feel like survival food, but when things stretch longer than expected, salt quietly becomes one of the most valuable items in your home. Item number 4. Honey. Honey is one of the few true forever foods. Archaeologists have found honey in ancient tombs that was still edible. That's not a myth, it's chemistry. Honey is naturally hostile to bacteria and mold, which makes it one of the most reliable long-term pantry items you can store. Why honey matters in long-term emergencies? Honey isn't just a sweetener. It's fast energy, pure carbohydrates, a morale booster. When food gets repetitive, a natural food preservative, a multi-use item with medical value. When stress is high and calories are low, quick energy matters. Shelf life indefinite. With one catch, honey does not expire. Over time, it may crystallize. That's normal, not spoilage. To fix it, place the container in warm, not boiling water. Let it slowly return to liquid form. Never microwave honey in plastic containers. Raw versus processed honey, both will last indefinitely if sealed. Raw honey, more nutrients, better for medical and barter use. Processed honey, often cheaper, still stores indefinitely. Choose what fits your budget, but make sure it's real honey, not syrup blends. Storage rules: store in airtight containers. Keep away from moisture. Glass jars are ideal, no refrigeration needed. Avoid metal lids that can corrode over long periods. Cost and quantity: honey costs more than sugar but lasts far longer. For a family of 4, 5 to 10 pounds is a solid long-term amount. You don't need massive quantities. A little honey goes a long way. Bonus uses: most people forget small wound care, antibacterial properties. Sore throat relief, food preservation, high-value barter item. Why honey earns its spot? Honey isn't a bulk calorie food. It's reliable food. When everything else rotates, spoils, or expires, honey stays ready. Item number 5. Powdered milk. Powdered milk is one of the most underestimated long-term pantry foods until families actually need it. Powdered milk: when fresh milk disappears, powdered milk quietly becomes a nutritional anchor, especially for children, seniors, and anyone who relies on dairy for daily calories and minerals. Why powdered milk matters. Milk provides nutrients that are hard to replace in emergencies. Protein for strength and recovery, calcium for bones and teeth, vitamin D, often fortified calories that are easy to consume for kids. Familiar foods matter. Powdered milk helps keep routines intact when everything else feels unstable. Shelf life type matters: not all powdered milk is equal. Non-fat dry milk, NFDM. Shelf life: 5 to 10 years, properly stored. Best option for long-term storage: whole powdered milk. Shelf life: 2 to 5 years higher fat equals shorter life for a true 5-year pantry. Non-fat dry milk is the safer choice. Storage rules: critical: powdered milk fails when exposed to oxygen, moisture, heat. Best storage method: Mylar bags, oxygen absorbers, airtight buckets, cool, dark location. Once opened, use within a few months. Cost and quantity: powdered milk is more affordable than most people think. For a family of 4, 8 to 12 pounds of powdered milk provides a solid long-term buffer that supports drinking milk, cooking, baking, and emergency nutrition. Preparation tips: mix slowly with cool water to reduce clumping. Let it rest 10 to 15 minutes before use. Taste improves when chilled if possible. Powdered milk won't taste exactly like fresh, but in an emergency, nutrition matters more than perfection. Why this item earns its spot: powdered milk replaces a fragile refrigerated staple, supports kids and elderly nutrition, adds calories and protein to meals, stores for years when done right. It's not exciting, but it's incredibly practical. Item number 6. Peanut butter. Peanut butter doesn't look like a survival food, but the numbers say otherwise. It's one of the most calorie-dense, affordable, and familiar foods you can put on a shelf. And in long disruptions, familiarity matters almost as much as nutrition. Why peanut butter belongs in a 5-year pantry: peanut butter delivers a rare combination: high calories, fat, for energy and warmth. Moderate protein, no cooking required, just 2 tablespoons, equals approximately 190 calories. That's real fuel when appetites drop or cooking isn't practical. It's also one of the easiest foods for kids to eat under stress, straight from the jar if needed. Shelf life: read this carefully. Peanut butter does not last forever, but unopened jars can last 5 years depending on brand and storage. Best choices: commercial peanut butter, stabilized, simple ingredients. No fresh additives, avoid for long-term storage. Natural peanut butter with oil separation, fresh grind or refrigerated varieties once opened. Use within 6 to 12 months and rotate like a normal pantry item. Storage rules: peanut butter hates heat, light, repeated opening. Do this instead. Store unopened jars in a cool, dark place. Keep lids sealed. Rotate oldest jars into normal use. If it smells rancid, discard it. Fat spoilage is not something to push. Cost and quantity: peanut butter remains budget-friendly for the calories it provides. For a family of 4, 6 to 10 large jars is a solid long-term buffer that's thousands of calories stored in a small space. Why peanut butter finishes the list: peanut butter requires zero preparation, provides fast energy, supports morale, works when fuel is gone. It's not a standalone food, but it's a powerful support food that stretches everything else you've stored. The biggest myth about long-term food storage is that you need a lot of money. You don't. What you need is consistency, not a huge one-time purchase. Start small, start smart. Trying to buy everything at once usually leads to 2 problems: overspending, buying the wrong items out of panic. Instead, use the weekly add-on method. Each grocery trip, add 1 storage item. Week 1, 5 pounds rice or flour. Week 2, 4 to 6 cans of vegetables. Week 3, salt or powdered milk. Week 4, peanut butter or honey. In 2 to 3 months, you'll be surprised how solid your pantry already looks. Lock in prices before they rise. Shelf-stable foods protect you from inflation only if you buy them early. When you see sales, bulk discounts, warehouse deals, buy a little extra, not everything, just enough to build slowly. Preparedness should reduce stress, not create financial pressure. Use your normal meals for rotation. A strong pantry isn't food you never touch. Use this rule: store what you eat, eat what you store. Work stored foods into regular meals. Use canned vegetables with dinner. Bake with stored flour. Rotate peanut butter into lunches. This keeps food fresh and eliminates waste. Storage for small homes: you don't need a basement or special room. Good storage spots: under beds, closet floors, inside storage benches, behind couches. Keep food off concrete floors. Away from heat, out of direct sunlight. Label everything with purchase dates. Avoid these budget-killing mistakes: buying survival kits instead of real food, stocking foods your family won't eat, ignoring storage conditions, waiting for later. Later usually costs more. Think in layers, not years. You don't build a 5-year pantry overnight. You build a 30-day buffer, then 3 months, then 6 months, then years. Each layer reduces risk.